The alarm goes off at 6 a.m. It's a standard, unglamorous sound, the kind you'd expect to hear in a modest suburban bedroom because that is exactly where you are. You reach over, tap the screen of your cracked phone, and sit up. Your feet hit the cold hardwood floor. You pull on a faded gray hoodie, the same $15 when you bought off a clearance rack 4 years ago, and a pair of worn-out slippers. Downstairs, the kettle clicks on. The kitchen is small, cozy, and smells faintly of the cheap dark roast coffee you've brewed every single day for a decade. If someone passed you on the street right now, they wouldn't give you a second glance. You look like every other guy rushing to catch the morning train or grabbing a quick bite before a standard 9 to 5 shift. Your neighbors think you work a remote desk job in data entry. They think you're stressed about inflation, worried about gas prices, and counting down the days until Friday. And that is precisely how you designed it. Because tucked away in an encrypted high-yield digital vault that few people on Earth even know exists, your current net worth sits comfortably at $100,450,000. No flashy sports cars parked outside, no designer logos screaming for attention, just absolute unbothered silence. Most people spend their entire lives chasing wealth because they want the applause. They want the Instagram story, the VIP bottle service, the luxury watch flashing in the club lights. They think being rich means performing wealth for an audience. They don't realize that the moment you turn wealth into a performance, you become a slave to your own image. You step outside onto the front porch, nursing your ceramic mug of coffee, watching the morning fog roll down the street. A neighbor drives by in a brand new luxury SUV, waving politely. You wave back with a warm smile. He's financing that car over 72 months, stressing about next month's payment. Meanwhile, your phone buzzes quietly in your pocket. A portfolio asset just cleared another automatic payout while you were standing here watching the sunrise. Zero debt, zero leverage, zero people knocking on your door asking for handouts. People always ask what it feels like to have 9 figures. They expect a story about buying mansions or private islands. But the truth, the greatest luxury in this world isn't buying expensive things. It's the absolute freedom to blend completely into the background. And today, you are going to see exactly how you built this invisible fortress, and why letting the world underestimate you is the greatest superpower you can possibly unlock. It wasn't always like this. 10 years ago, you were trapped in the exact same rat race as everyone else. You remember sitting in a claustrophobic corporate cubicle, staring at a glowing spreadsheet under harsh fluorescent lights that buzzed like an angry wasp. Your back ached, your eyes were strained, and your soul felt completely hollowed out. You were trading 50 hours of your week for a paycheck that vanished the second it hit your account: rent, car insurance, student loans, groceries. You were playing a game where the rules were rigged to keep you on a treadmill. One afternoon, your manager called you into his glass-walled office. He leaned back in his leather chair, looking down his nose at you, and explained why your request for a 3% cost of living raise was denied. "The company has tight margins right now," he said, adjusting his expensive gold-plated watch. "You need to work harder, show more hunger, put in the weekend hours if you want to get ahead here." As he spoke, your eyes drifted back to his wrist, and then to the luxury sedan parked right outside the office window. He was grinding his life away for a corporate machine that would replace him by Monday if he dropped dead, and he was preaching to you about hunger. Something inside you snapped, not with a shout or a dramatic exit. It was a cold, quiet realization. You looked at him, nodded calmly, and said, "You're right, I need to change how I play this game." That weekend, you stopped trying to climb a ladder that led nowhere. You stopped buying clothes to impress coworkers you didn't even like. You cut your living expenses down to the absolute bone. Every single extra dollar you earned went into a simple, automated system, buying cash-flowing microassets, digital real estate, and boring, predictable businesses that generated income while you slept. You didn't want to look rich. You wanted to be free. It took 5 grueling years of intense focus, building systems quietly in the dead of night while everyone else was out partying or upgrading their lifestyles. By year 6, the compound interest snowballed into an avalanche. And that brings us to the moment everything changed. The day you walked into a high-end luxury dealership just to test an invisible boundary and realized just how blind the rest of the world truly is. It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon. You had just closed a digital asset acquisition that netted a cool $4 million cash. Your bank account balance looked like a phone number with a country code. To celebrate in your own quiet way, you decided to walk into a high-end exotic car dealership downtown. The kind of place with polished marble floors, glass walls, and security guards standing near million-dollar supercars. You walked through the glass doors wearing your usual faded jeans, scuffed sneakers, and you guessed it, a worn-out zip-up hoodie. Your hair was slightly messy, and you were carrying a canvas grocery tote bag. For the first 3 minutes, absolute silence. Not a single salesperson moved. They looked right through you, writing you off as a lost tourist or a delivery guy who wandered into the wrong building. Finally, a junior salesman walked over, clearly annoyed, crossing his arms over his chest. He looked you up and down with a condescending smirk, deciding to get rid of you as fast as possible. "Can I help you, buddy?" he asked, his tone dripping with fake politeness. "Just so you know, the entry-level models on these vehicles start well north of 300,000. You might want to check out the pre-owned lot down the street." He thought he had you pegged. He thought you were entirely out of your depth. You didn't get angry. You didn't flash your bank statement or throw your weight around. A slow smile crept across your face. You looked him dead in the eye, pointed directly at the flagship limited edition supercar parked right in the center showroom, and said something that completely drained the color from his face. Before you see exactly what happened next in that showroom, and how that single interaction proved every single thing you learned about wealth, let's take a quick pause. If stories like this resonate with you, if you're tired of playing the superficial status game and want to learn how to quietly build real, untouchable freedom, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell right now. We break down the raw psychology of money, stealth wealth frameworks, and lifestyle design every single week, completely free of fluff. Join our community of independent thinkers who are quietly winning the game behind the scenes. Now back to the showroom floor. You looked at the condescending salesman, pointed at the flagship supercar, and said calmly, "I'll take that one, in cash, fully paid today." The smirk vanished instantly. He blinked, stammered, and looked around wildly for a manager to rescue him from what he assumed was a cruel joke. But when you pulled out your secure mobile banking token, authorized a direct wire transfer, and asked him for the wire routing instructions right then and there, the reality set in like a physical blow. His entire posture changed. Panic, confusion, and desperate servility washed over his face as he scrambled to find paperwork, offering you espresso, bowing, and apologizing profusely. It was pathetic, honestly. You didn't buy the car to impress him. You walked out of that dealership 5 minutes later, left the car sitting on the showroom floor for them to deliver later, and walked right back out into the rain in your $15 hoodie. Because in that moment, you realized the ultimate truth about life and wealth. When you stop caring about what people think, when you strip away the designer clothes, the flashy cars, and the desperate need for external validation, you stop being a target. You stop being a slave to society's expectations. People who need to look rich are usually broke, stressed, and drowning in debt trying to maintain an illusion. But the people who are truly wealthy, they don't need to prove a single thing to anyone. You walk back down your quiet suburban street tonight, the same street you've lived on for years. Your neighbors wave hello, seeing just an ordinary guy in a faded hoodie coming home from a walk. They have no idea what your bank account looks like, and that is your greatest shield. True peace doesn't live in a mansion surrounded by security cameras and judgment. True peace lives in anonymity. It lives in the freedom to walk through life completely underestimated, knowing that you hold all the cards, while the rest of the world chases shadows. And as you close your front door, lock it tight, and settle down with a quiet cup of coffee, you realize you wouldn't trade this simple, invisible life for all the applause in the world.